What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land and Facebook land? I'm Ramon. With me is the Finlaysons. They're now no longer Californians. They're Texans. Carla Rufus Finlayson. This is Epic Thoughts. Thank you for watching us on YouTube or iTunes, wherever you choose to watch it. Or maybe you're listening to us on our iTunes page or our podcast. But before we get in for it, let's do our intro video. Or maybe not.
That was the intro. Quickest intro I've ever seen.
Hold on, let's try it one more time. That was stupid. It's supposed to say Epic Thoughts on it. I don't know why I didn't. But anyways, Epic Thoughts. Dang, that sucked. Welcome to Epic Thoughts. With me always is Ramon, Ivy, Carla. A lot of stuff been going on in the media. First of all, how y'all doing? Is it raining where you are?
It rained like a little bit.
Tad bit. It was more windy today.
Okay, cool. So you guys have just moved out to Texas. And I saw that Ivy is filling up his car for $30 with gas.
18 gallons.
18 gallons. 18 gallons out here is like almost $70.
Bro, gas out here was $1.65.
Where was it $1.65?
Bro, I went. That's how I filled it up for $32.
Dang, it's $1.80 over here. That's cheap.
Dang, they living the life over there in Texas. And it's, I don't know how hot it was, but is it humid though, right?
Not really.
People say it's humid, but it was a little humid today because of the rain.
Yeah, because of the hurricane. But this is what I finally realized why everyone thinks it's hotter in Texas. Because those are the people that live in LA. We live in the IE.
Yeah.
Way hotter in the IE at all times than it is in LA.
Yeah.
Always. It's always like 20 degrees separates us in the IE. In LA.
This weather is just like IE weather to me.
But it's a tad bit humid.
Yeah, tad bit. Not like crazy humid.
No.
Not out here.
But today's been a tad bit hot. It's like pushing 102 today.
Oh man, it's like 92 out here.
Woo. 92. I'll kill for 92 right now. But let's get going, man. We got people logging on, all right? People showing you love. Eric De La Serre didn't even know you guys moved, but he's getting on the link.
Nobody did.
Nobody did. Eric got out so great.
Carla was like, "Did you tell any of your family?" I was like, no, I didn't.
We literally had 2 weeks to move, not because of anything abrupt or anything. We were just toiling with the idea, and the opportunity presented itself. And we're like, we got to pack up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we kept getting rentals that wouldn't accept our dog, and so one rental came up, and I was like, look, I'm not applying for any more rentals because you got to pay a fee for everyone you apply to. It's like you got to pay application fee, credit report fee. And so I was like, look, if we don't get this one, it's a wrap. We'll just stay out here till our house is built. And then we got it, and we got a steal on this house too.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys are getting, I heard Carla told me a little bit about the house you guys are working, you move it into and building. It's crazy. I've seen houses out there too. I've seen what they can be. I've seen some of the houses out there just for rent. I was one time thinking about moving out there, and it's crazy out there.
Come on down.
Come on down to Texasville.
Well, that's a different. I was going to say I might because California be tripping, but that's a different show.
No, or this show.
Or we can get into it this show.
Anyway,
do a show called Cali Be Tripping.
Yeah, Cali be tripping.
Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, Cali do be tripping though. So here we are, man. Let's get into this show. I'm trying to share the Facebook. That's what I'm looking at my Facebook. Somebody's trying to get at me on social media. People are
about what?
About something else. I'll talk to you about it after.
Oh, okay.
It's HP stuff. People being stupid. Anyways, just trying to find the video. Going on in the meeting. Oh, well, there's the video. Get into the show. I'm trying to share Facebook.
We have a live show, people.
Trying to. Yeah. Already, somebody. All right, well, whatever. We'll get it. All right, so here we are. It's August 27, 2020. It's been an amazing 2020 to say the least. I'm just being as positive as I can because a lot of people have been going crazy 2020. I'm going to be a little honest and say my 2020 started off really strong. Pandemic hit, got a little bit stronger, got a little bit better. But the last couple of weeks have been kind of tough. And we want to share about stuff that's been going on in the last week, just this last 5 days. So for those of you who are living under a rock and have no idea what's going on, I'll start by saying Sunday. It started all Sunday in Wisconsin, right? If I'm correct. Police officers responded to a call in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And there at the police call, they responded to a man by the name of Jacob Blake. The call was actually about Jacob Blake, and they went to respond to a disturbance call. Some reports said that they were going to serve a warrant, but the bottom line was they were responding to a call and they were dealing with Jacob Blake. Conversation happened when they got to the site. They got into a tussle match with Jacob Blake. In the process of the tussle match, he walked away from them, went into his car, and at that point, they shot him 7 times in the back. Of course, the civil unrest went up to like 11. It's been super intense. Just so happens it's no better that our national conventions are this week as well. Republican and Democrat had their conventions this week. Or I think Democrats had theirs last week. Republicans had theirs tonight and last night. And in response, the NBA, specifically the Milwaukee Bucks, decided that they were going to boycott their playoff game against the Orlando Magic. They didn't even show up on the floor, and causing the NBA to follow suit and cancel the rest of the games for Wednesday and today. The WNBA followed suit. Major League Soccer followed suit, and 3 baseball games also were canceled, as well as the semifinals of women's tennis. I can't really think of the name of it right now. And here we are. They boycotted the NBA, threatening to not even continue to finish the season. And here we are today. They had decided that they're going to finish the season, and this is where we are. Civil unrest is at an all-time high, if not higher. It's just ridiculous. It's getting intense now. People are still name blaming. People are still pointing out fingers. People are waiting for people to say something. And also, I want to also point out that there has been violence and protest in the streets of Kenosha, Wisconsin. And there's been protests all over the country. I've actually drove past 2 protests in California just in the last week. So let's start with this unfortunate what happened to Jacob Blake. Let's share a little bit about that from our heart, because people we don't want to sound like we're being insensitive to the insinuating moment of what happened to Jacob Blake. So let's just talk that through. Carla and I, if you want to speak on anything about the situation that happened to Jacob Blake.
Well, I mean, for the record, a lot of people don't know that there have been multiple reports talking about he was there breaking up a fight, or I heard that report. Heard the report saying that he had a gun on him. I heard that one, which was false. He had a knife on him, which was false. But from what I gathered, and this is just what I've been reading, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, was that they were responding to I guess Jacob was violating a restraining order that the lady had against him.
His girlfriend or something
like that. So the police showed up. There was a tussle. They actually shot him with the taser. And it had no effect. And from what I read, he also told the police he had a knife in the car. Okay, so when he leaves, you can clearly see the police are yelling at him, "Come here, get down." He's not complying. He walks into his car. He gets shot in the back 7 times. Okay, now there is absolutely no reason for the cops to shoot that man 7 times. That was totally out of line. Totally out of line. What he also did was totally out of line, when he wasn't complying. So it's like a catch-22 in my book. You're not complying, and the police are using the excessive force. It's like, what do you want the cops to do at that point?
So
it's like there's only two of them. Apparently he won the fight because he was walking away.
He was walking away. He won the fight.
He was winning the fight. So
Yeah.
he was winning enough of them to pull the guns out on him, and a taser didn't affect this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, this is a sucky situation. It sucks that it had to happen right after George Floyd, in the same 20 miles from where George Floyd got put down.
So the actual charges he has that were filed in July by the district attorney were 3 domestic abuse-related charges, criminal trespassing, disorderly conduct, and third-degree sexual assault. So I think
14-year-old, right?
I don't know. I don't know that part.
Oh.
Now, in other situations, I don't think charges would be. In this situation, I think his criminal past is applicable only because in this instance, he was violating a court order, and that's why the police were called. However, I don't think he should have been shot 7 times.
No, this is why people are so outraged at the police, okay? Because I think there needs to be way better training, way better de-escalation. They should have called for backup immediately.
Well, it was like 3 officers, I thought.
And apparently they needed more for that guy because he won the fight because he was walking away after being tased.
The report that I've gotten, and I even listened to the police scanners, and they asked for backup when he shrugged off the taser. They asked for more officers, and there were 5 other units en route. And so there were 5 other units en route. So there was supposed to be 8 units there. There were only 3, I believe, when he was shot. 2 or 3 there when he was shot. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I 100%. At first, I was like, man, not another one. And then after looking at it, I watched it and I thought the same thing. I was like, bro, and I put myself in the position. I always put myself in the position. I was talking to Tramel about this morning, and I said, bro, we're not cops, right? We're not cops at all. Let's say we got into a street fight with a dude and he beat both of us up and we tried to tase him and he shook it off and then start walking to his car.
The next result is deadly force.
Right. Deadly force or get out. Like,
and I don't know if this part is true or not. I don't know if he told the cops he had a knife in the car or if that was later on found out. I am not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But a knife was found on the floor in his car. So I don't know if the cops saw the knife on the floor and then shot him 7 times.
Yeah. But
I'm like, this is just out of line, man.
No, do you guys?
Like, what do you literally do in that situation? Right. You got beat up. The guy won. You tased him. He's still walking away. He's going into a car. You don't know what he has in the car. Facebook, Instagram, whoever's watching this, what do you do in that situation if it's only 2 of y'all?
There's only 2 of you. Yeah. And your training has let you down because he beat you both up.
It let you all the way down. Like, you probably should hit the weights.
Yeah.
Or don't be a cop. Or just don't be a cop if you a scary cop that don't know how to handle himself.
I do believe even after even seeing the whole thing, how it turned out, I think that probably could have been other options that could have been explored before shooting him. But you're right. In that moment, here's the other thing that got me. He's walking away from them with their guns drawn. Like he's a real G. He's like, I don't care.
7 shots to the back at point blank range.
And he still survived.
He's alive.
He alive today. And when he opened the car door, and like I'm trying to understand it, why we're mad like we are with George Floyd. I understand he got shot 7 times, but the dude didn't get in the car. He reached in the car. Like, normally when you get in the car, you go leg first. He bent over and went head first. In my mind,
pulling him
while
him back.
They're pulling him back. So they've done everything they can, and they saw no other options but to shoot him 7 times. I agree is excessive. I don't even know if shooting, because if I wanted to ask Murray. I didn't think about Murray until like 5 minutes ago. Murray would have been interesting to hear his take on it, on whether he would have shot. You know what I'm saying? Or I wouldn't say they could tackle him, but he already beat him up. So they were just in a bad situation. I do agree with Jacob Ortega. He says they're both out of line, but if Jacob complied, this would not have happened.
Yeah, this is a totally different scenario than George Floyd.
Yeah.
George Floyd was in handcuffs on the ground.
Yes.
Detained.
He presented
He
no harm to those cops.
Just to himself, really.
Yeah, just to himself, because he was handcuffed on the ground. He was somewhat under control, but he had no way of hurting those cops in his position with a knee to the man's neck for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
This situation is a little different. It's a little different. And the media, I blame the media for a lot, because back in the day, they never showed us none of this stuff on the media.
No, they didn't.
None of this. So you never seen people getting shot like this. When did you start seeing this?
Well, this wasn't the media. This was a citizen who recorded this, right?
It was a citizen, but see, everything that you see posts is everything that's posted on Facebook. It gets pushed really fast through the media. Like the media's lens pushes it.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw what happened, and the media just took it to 100.
But this is the thing. This is what I don't like, and this happens a lot. They don't show the full thing.
No.
Why are you only showing the end result instead of the full thing for everybody to see?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of everybody jumping to conclusions, now we get to see the whole thing transpire.
Yeah.
Like that dude didn't just start recording when the guy walked away.
No. He recorded the whole
thing, because you definitely know he was recording when Jacob was getting in them cops' booties. You know what I'm saying? When he was getting the best of them.
Yep.
You know, when he got tased and was still walking, like, oh, you see this? Come on, man. Show the whole clip. If they would show the whole clip, I guarantee you it wouldn't be as much riots. I'd still be pissed, because I'm still pissed that he got shot 7 times. That's excessive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7 times is excessive. I do think that there's another option that could have been handled. However, we've been saying it for years on this show. You don't need to. You need to comply. There's a level of compliance. If a cop tells you to stop, you stop. If he tells you put your hands up, you put your hands up. You don't. I think they could have shot him in the leg. Well, they shot him. Did they shoot him in the head? Shoot him in the back? Where did they shoot him?
Shot him in the back 7 times.
What don't you agree with, Michelle?
Yes. She says she doesn't agree with that. She says she
She
doesn't
came
know.
in late though too, so I don't know what part she did or didn't hear of everything that was said. But
yeah,
I think we also need to all be honest and recognize that a lot of the times when we watch these things, we're all watching them from a different filter of experience and a different filter of perspective. And unfortunately, everybody, in my opinion, at this point, is going to view a lot of this differently, because a lot of people are fed up with the treatment. A lot of people are tired of treatment, whether it's warranted or not. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people can't be objective anymore about it because they're tired. And people can't look at facts.
But here's the question I want to ask. So I understand your point, right? And I keep having this question. What happens? Because I believe in the situation before they shot him 7 times, they've done everything in their power to detain him within legal rights. They physically tried to detain him. That didn't work. They tased him. That didn't work. They draw their guns and gave him direction. That didn't work. And I feel like in the back, what if there's a cop in the back of his head says, I don't want to shoot this black man. There's cameras everywhere. I don't want to do it. What do we do? Let's say this situation played out differently and he gets in the car and it's not a knife and it's a gun and he pops off 2 officers. Then what's the narrative?
Well, that's my point. That's why I said in the beginning, his criminal past is very relevant to the situation, because he has been convicted with violent crimes against women, against potentially minors. So if he wasn't complying with police, it's obviously because he has a history of not complying. So I don't know what I would do in this instance.
This is why I've always said I believe police need to be re-educated. They need to go through different training, de-escalation training. Whatever they received isn't enough. Because if you come and approach people a certain way, most of the time, sometimes you got crazy people out there, it don't matter. If you approach certain people a certain way, and this is the bottom line, us as black males, almost every single race is afraid of us. Mm-hmm. And especially if you got a rap sheet of aggression or assault, you're looked at totally different.
Yes, he does, Michelle. He has a history of violence. You can look it up. But that's not what they're telling you in the media.
Yeah. And so even if we don't have a history of violence, like me, I'm not a little guy. You're not a little guy, Ramon. I know most of my homies, we're not little guys.
No.
And if a cop pulls me over and tells me to get out, he's probably going to be scared crapless. Yeah. Like, I hope this guy listens.
Yeah, he's going to beat me up.
If he doesn't, he knows I'm going to put these paws on him and win, just like Jacob did. Jacob he won the fight against two guys.
Yeah.
So because what they did do first was they tried to tase him, and he got up from being tased, and that's when they called back up.
Mm-hmm. So I think there just need to be, instead of defunding the police, which I totally don't agree with, I think that funds need to be placed into different areas of retraining cops. Bad cops need to go, because that's the problem. You don't keep bad doctors around.
No.
You don't keep bad doctors around. You're a bad doctor and you're killing people, you're gone, you lose your license. That needs to happen with cops across the board. There needs to be re-education. There needs to be more requirements to be a cop, because you only do 10 weeks of basic training. 18 years old, you can go be a cop and have the ability to take someone's life.
Yeah.
So to answer Michelle,
go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to answer Michelle?
They knew about him before shooting him, and they showed up because of him.
Because the person he was
he was harassing somebody by
she's the one that called the police.
Somebody called the police on him because I believe wasn't there a restraining order? He shouldn't even be around.
Violating
he was violating a restraining order, and that's why they were called. You can hear, even if you hear they released the 911 call. In the call, he was identified before any cop got there, so they knew exactly
what type of person they were dealing with before
they knew who it was before he got there. Eric De La Cerda makes a statement. I think the consequences for police misbehavior needs to change. I feel that some not all feel like they can get away with whatever they want.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think we need to come up with a concept, and I've said this many times, even on the show. I think we need to start indicting every police involved shooting. I think there needs to be a psychiatric
evaluation,
and I think every shooting needs to go to the grand jury.
Joe Rogan had a police psychologist on his show, and she had a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be able to regurgitate her 20 years of experience, but she has a lot of interesting insight and perspective about what happens. I can't speak for every police force, but most cases that involve tragic events or shootings, you have to go see a psychologist and talk about what happened.
Yeah.
And then you got to see the psychologist. You automatically place on administrative leave if you shoot somebody or discharge your weapon.
Now, my whole thing with all of this, why isn't paid suspension acceptable if the investigation is not completed?
That's I think because I would agree with Eric that is not acceptable because they get paid.
Yeah, but if what this officer did or didn't do was in the realms of his legal duties, why would he not be paid for that?
Well, if it comes out that he did do it in his legal duties, then he gets back pay.
But sometimes these cops are off for months, depending on the trial.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think not paying. That's like, so if that happened in your job.
See, but the thing is, a lot of police shootings are more justified than not justified.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if everybody would agree with that.
If you look at just the statistics, the statistics show that most police shootings.
Not according to the general opinion.
But see, here's the thing: the general opinion is based off of two things. It's based off of mainstream media, what mainstream media decides to stuff down their head, and the other thing is cognitive bias. So a lot of the general public already has a cognitive bias. Like tomorrow, we could see a video footage of a black man walking down the street with a child by the arms and choking it out, and a cop shoots him in his chest to let go of the kid. They're still going to protest because cognitive bias is going to make them say, see how they do us, and never look at the other side of it. That's what cognitive bias is. And so that's why
now, to be fair, that cognitive bias is kind of valid because a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, the stuff that we do see when it does come out, it is kind of on the sketchy side. Like,
no, you're right 100%. And I agree with you.
It happens a lot towards people of color.
It does. And
black, brown, yellow, green.
Well, see, here's my thing. I agree with you too, but the cognitive bias doesn't have to be the way. Like you can be objective and look at every situation as it's different. For example, I did feel one way about it because I was like, he shouldn't have walked away. He shouldn't have walked away. If he didn't walk away, he'd be walking today. He wouldn't be paralyzed. But then the next day, when they're rioting in Kenosha, we see the 17-year-old with the long gun shooting people and walking by police.
See, you gotta know what really happened in that situation.
Wait, but before we move on to that, so Michelle says, so is the police right in shooting him? Well,
in that moment?
Here's what I want to say on the flip side. Michelle, what do you think would be the proper protocol if you were in that scenario? And then I want to bring up a point. There has been several, and you can look this up statistically, where there has been domestic disputes between men and women, and men take children, and men kill children. And it is very, very prevalent when you don't know what a violent person is going to do, and he had children in the car.
And he's not in his right mind because he's fighting the cops.
He got tased. He got up. I don't think they should have shot him 7 times, but they couldn't detain him.
What would you suggest they do? Not knowing, if you were a cop and you didn't know what the heck that man had in the car,
he reached
are you
going
to wait to find out as a cop? Are you going to wait to find out what he's going to grab out of his car? I would like to know. On everybody's opinion, what would you do if you're a cop? You tase him. This man walks to his car and opens up the door like nothing's happening.
To grab something.
What would you do? We all say that. Oh, we shouldn't have been shot. What should have happened?
What should have happened? Yeah, because I thought that too. I said there gotta be another way to handle this. But then I thought to myself, he already fought him. He already fought him off. So like,
but they don't show that.
Huh? But yeah, the news don't show that. But like, I'm thinking, well, what was some cops that I know? What would they do? Would they shoot him? Maybe not. Maybe somebody will try to tackle him as a last ditch effort. He's trying to get in the car and tackle him on the street.
They were trying to pull him before he got in the car.
Beat them. Yeah, they did pull on him.
He dragged him into the car.
Yeah, he dragged the cop into the car. So he tried to get him out the car. So let me ask you this, Ivy: is you said that it's is it the 7 times that's abusive?
7 times is too much.
7 times is
excessive. So if it was 1 time, you think it'd been different? I don't think it'd been different, but would you see it differently if it was 1 shot as opposed to 9 or 7?
A little bit.
I think so.
A little bit.
7 times it seems excessive.
Because they could have shot him. They could have shot him in the arm, bow, and then tried to pull him and see what he was doing if he was still reaching. I don't even know, man. In that situation, I don't know what I would do.
But let me ask you this:
nothing's working. Like, I would like somebody to tell me a good solution for this. That's listening. What do you suggest that the cops do?
If that was you have a family, Ramon.
Yeah.
You have a family, Ivy. You already know what this person is doing. They're already in violation of the law.
Yeah. He already beat me up.
He already beat you up.
That's where it wouldn't have happened. So.
You have children, but that's not the point. I'm just giving the same scenario.
If I was a little scrawny guy,
and you have a man that you don't know what they're capable of doing, and they're reaching in their car, what would you do?
I put some in them. That's just what I would do.
I would try to tase him again. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't think I could get myself to shooting that man 7 times in the back like that. That's kind of like a coward move to me. Like 7 times in the back?
I'd probably shoot him before he opened the door. I would shoot him in the leg
before he got to his door.
I was shot before he got to the door.
Cops aren't trained to shoot in the leg.
I'm not a cop. I don't know what they're trained to do.
And that brings me to my other point. Cops they're trained killers. They're trained to kill people, right? So then
you don't know that.
We don't know that, but they're trained very well on
From
that.
what we hear.
They're not trained
in the
well.
Streets.
Apparently they're not trained well.
Not all of them.
They're trained to it. Well, yeah, they got beat up, but they're trained to use their weapons. But what if I'm not for defunding the police just for defunding the police. But we could put money into mental situations where now when there's a call like something like this, well, this is a different call. This is a violent person not respecting an RFO.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's different. But these other situations, what would happen if we, instead of sending the police officer, they send a social worker with a police officer?
And then that social worker dies and gets shot?
Well, the social worker should come strapped too, but that's I mean, I'm definitely not for defunding the police. I do think that money should be spent to re-educate, retrain, create a few different units that can handle different things. Because the police aren't needed for every single situation, and that's just the honest to God truth.
That's my point. They're not needed at every situation.
Read the comment.
Michelle said, "I really don't know. I expect police officers to know how to de-escalate. It wasn't one cop on one man. It was a few cops, and they couldn't get a hold of them." And my response to that is, they did de-escalate the situation. They shot him.
Now, I don't know. I have dealt with mentally ill people who don't listen to simple instructions, people that are on drugs, people that don't listen. I have dealt with people like that. And reasoning sometimes with people like that does not work.
No.
It just doesn't.
Yeah. I think she's laughing at the de-escalation statement.
I mean, the solution to that is just don't be a cop. Because apparently no matter what,
I don't think there's a win.
You're going to die or that other person's going to die.
The other person's going to die. You know, and because of where we are as in the culture, the more distrust we're going to have in the police, the more that people, and I don't understand this train of thinking, the more distrust we're having in the police, the more that people feel like they don't have to respond to them.
The problem that it creates is that now we're stepping into a society, hopefully, that I don't know. I just don't think that there's any right answer because this world is filled with imperfect people. And as a police officer, as a doctor, as a judge, even though they have certain laws they have to abide by, sometimes those are just judgment calls. And sometimes you make a bad judgment call.
Do we think this is going to, the Justice Department said that they're going to, go ahead.
No. And I was going to say, and I don't think anybody deserves to lose their life or deserve to be paralyzed or anything like that, no matter how horrible of a person that they are. But in this specific instance, it seems like an impossible situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where
she's asking where are we getting the backstory from. She's Googling it and then been watching CNN, Fox News, and having her.
Get it on CNN.
I'll send you the articles, Michelle. You gotta read independent news articles. But where did you hear the 911 call from? I don't watch Fox, CNN, MSNBC. I get all my news from local places of the areas that they occurred, or independent places.
Mine was local too. I'll send Carla the link too, and she can send that to him too. I got mine from an independent source as well. I
fact checked all my sources. So more than one news article reported the same thing.
And you can easily pull up his rap sheet. That's public record.
That's public record.
Yeah. So,
but the rap sheet doesn't suffice anybody getting killed.
No.
What he did does not suffice.
But he didn't die.
Anybody getting shot.
Yeah.
So I'm not condoning police shooting anybody, whether you're guilty or not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you guys feel that this instance is a situation where it warranted the riots?
I think because where we're at, the turmoil that's going on, it's like one thing after the next. It's like, come on. What I knew as soon as this happened, I was like, man, they about to tear these streets up.
Yeah.
Like, in the same city, 20 miles away from where Floyd just got kneeled on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair that, like I was saying before, unfortunately, I think in this instance, his background bears merit to some of it. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that he should have been shot 7 times. I think the 7 times shot was that officer being afraid. Because, and that's the problem. Now, putting myself in that situation, obviously I'd never be a cop because I would probably always be afraid. If a man or anybody larger than me was in that, overpowering me. But if you already got beat up, you already were trying to detain that person with tasering, and they go to reach in their car, the human part of me would say I would probably be afraid too.
Mm-hmm. And you shoot them?
I don't know. I don't think I would be capable of shooting anybody unless it was to protect my children.
What, you would just run away? Like, that'd
be a video if a cop ran away and said, never mind. I'm out.
Like, man, forget this. Throw the badge down. Like, I ain't ready for this. Like, you lucky I'm quitting because I would have shot you.
I think it's easy to say. So if you're afraid, you shouldn't be a cop. But unfortunately, you don't know how you would react in a situation until you're in it. Yeah. It's very easy to say what you would do when you're not in that situation.
I think most people want to be cops because they really want to help people. I think people genuinely want to be a cop because they want to be in that. And I think that some cops don't think that they would be in a situation like that. And
I would disagree with that statement.
You do?
Yeah, because I know lots of cops, and a lot of them became cops because
control and power.
No, because it was a good paying job.
Or that too.
And it's an easy job. It's an easy job to get, and it pays well.
You don't need a college education.
Mm. You just need to get credit.
You can make 6 figures. You get to do whatever you want because you ain't gonna get arrested. It's like,
I know a lot of cops, and none of them are punks or ex-punks. I think that's a bias.
I know some that were punks, and they did this, and now they got power. I know a couple.
But I know some that are not.
Yeah, I know most.
I know a lot that are not.
A lot of cops that I know were either former military or were doing something else, and then this job was just a good paying gig for them.
And some of them do want to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. I just don't think that they expect it to. I think some cops don't expect it to be placed in areas that they end up being placed in. Like when we had that conversation with George Floyd with Murray, we were like, why don't they just police their own community? And he basically said there's not enough cops in the community to police a community. So I think, can you imagine? I just want to make a difference in the world, like kind of like that rabbit from Zootopia. I just want to make a difference. And then they were like, all right, you're going to be placed in Kenosha, where there's a lot of poor Black people, and you won't even know Black people.
LJ said cops don't get paid in Texas, so I don't know why they do it then.
He says Cali pays good though.
I think we would have to really sit down with every cop and ask them why. I mean, I did a job that I hated, but I loved helping people. But I hated that job. And I also put my life in risk a lot because I dealt with a lot of crazy people with no security. Okay?
I totally forgot you had that job.
Okay. And I did it because I love to help people.
What job you talking about?
When I worked for welfare, I dealt with extremely unstable people all the time.
Where my money at?
No, not even that. Schizophrenic people, violent people, murderers. Well, maybe not murderers, but drug dealers. I mean, I dealt with a lot of people that were unstable, but I did the job and it did not pay me well. And I did the job because I wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I get it. So with that being said, we went 40 minutes talking about this whole situation. No
one's told me a solution that
nobody has one.
What would you do in that situation?
Nobody has one.
Him?
I don't know the situation. I mean, honestly,
you're pulling him back. He's reaching inside of his car to grab something. What do you do?
Well, can I make a point here though too? Is I think the sad thing is that me, you, and Ivy had to dig to find the facts, and that general media isn't giving out all the information. I think that's sad.
Yeah, because the general information changes the story. I mean, not the general information. The facts change the story because now we're sitting here having this discussion. Like, well, what would you do in that situation?
No one said it. No one said anything. Maybe apparently they don't know jiu-jitsu.
They don't know jiu-jitsu. He beat them both up.
They tried tackling him. They tried tackling him. He beat them both up, walked away. They tried to tase him. And he's still walking away.
Hey, that man's a gangster.
And reaching in the car. What do you do?
Yeah, they did. Let's recap. They did try to tackle him. He beat two cops up on the floor. Got up. They tased him. Actually, they tased him first. He shook off the tase. Then they tried to tackle him.
He bop the taser?
He shook off the taser, and then they tried to tackle him. He whooped up on the cops, then walked away, and then they pulled their gun, followed him to the car. He reached into the car. They tried to pull him out of the car, but he was still reaching in the car. You know,
he wasn't getting in the car. He was reaching in the car.
He wasn't getting in the car. He was reaching.
They did fight. They lost.
They just can't fight good.
They just suck. They suck at fighting. I agree with you, Leon. If you don't got hands, quit being a cop, man.
No, they got a gun to hide behind. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is they have a gun to protect them and hide behind.
I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't have shot him, but I probably would have ran. That's my instinctive reaction. Is if I lose a fight,
you would have ran. He's being honest. That job ain't for him no more.
It ain't for me. If I'm a cop and I try to fight you and I lost, wait, Carla. If me and my partner try to arrest this man, he beats us both up, and then we tase him, and he shakes off the taser. He's cut different. He cut different. So I don't want to say
honest. Read Eric's comment. He's being honest.
Let me see. Honestly, if I was in that situation, given his history, and he reached in his car, I would have shot. Not that many times, but I would have shot.
That's an honest response.
That's honest,
in my opinion.
And here's the other thing. I don't know what's going on in that cop's mind when he shot him 7 times. But you know what? At that point, that may have been his first shooting, and his adrenaline is just spiking. And he just probably went rampant trigger finger.
And he just lost a fight.
He just lost.
But
he just lost. He's a little upset at that. Oh, you wanna beat me and the taser? I got something for you, boy.
So in response to quit being a cop. So if this was a Mexican man, would we be even having this conversation?
It wouldn't have been publicized.
But if it was the same situation, would that? Is it because he's black that he was shot?
Here's a question that I would like to ask and think about as Black America. And this question bothers me to say it, but it bothers me to think about it. if it was a white man, would they have even showed us?
Yeah, because they would have defunded the police. They would have showed all of that.
You think they would show this, or do you think they're just showing it because they want to get a message across to Black America? Because look, at the end of the day, there's not a lot of Black people who are in CNN and Fox and MSN and those mainstream media. So, and then we don't see a lot of them shooting white people, and I know that they do. We know that cops shoot white people just as much. But the question is, are you showing us this because it's Black? Because I don't think they're showing us the white cops that don't get arrested. They're showing us the white people that don't get arrested or get arrested and get dropped off at Burger King for a meal on their way to jail. They're showing us how white people won't get shot. They're showing us how we do get shot. Like, we know that the media is part of this because they're not playing the full. They didn't even play the whole video. They just said, "Look, another cop's killing another Black man."
So I don't know. What comments do you want to read, Ramon?
Dang, there's a lot of them. Okay,
yeah.
Let's start. Christina Verzon. If you have to shoot, why do you have to shoot to kill? Why not shoot in the leg so he can't?
That's
run?
what I said.
Because if you shoot somebody in the leg, they still could shoot you back.
Yeah, just in case.
I
was told Black men are the biggest threat to cops.
All cops said that?
In general, Black men, period, are considered a threat, even to Black cops.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a cop. I don't run in that circle.
Almost everybody's intimidated by, I wouldn't necessarily just say Black men, but we're normally large individuals. Like, Eric Garner was huge.
Eric Garner was huge.
Eric Garner was a big boy.
Yeah.
This dude apparently got the best of them two. I seen pictures. He doesn't look small.
No.
I don't see too many. Let me think back before I say this.
And I would say, Michelle, it's not okay. And it's not okay at all. I would even go back as far, Ivy. If she was like, is it okay that cops think we're intimidating? I don't think it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
That's the problem.
I'll go back as far, Ivy, because I had a list of stuff. I thought we were going to talk about a presidential side of it. But Trayvon Martin was a big 14-year-old.
Yeah.
He was a big 14-year-old.
Shot by a cop, so let's not even go there. He got
shot by an officer.
Watch. Not even in the subject. Change it.
I'm putting in the subject because he was a 14-year-old who beat up a grown man to the point where the grown man felt like he had to kill him.
I can't even.
Yeah.
He's 14. Look, we go back as far as 1992. Rodney King was a big dude.
Rodney King was huge.
Rodney King was huge.
That's why it took 7 of them, however many, to beat him like they did.
There were 15 cops. I looked it up. There were 15 cops on the scene. 4 of them beat him up.
Well, LJ, I'm not a Black man in America, so I don't know. I can't speak for Black men in America. I'm just asking the question.
Eric Dillon, I don't care if you're black, white, brown, purple, blue, orange, or pink. If you're reaching into your car and ignoring my request, just call me Han because I'm shooting first.
What's Han?
Han Solo?
Solo? That's what I'm thinking. Han Solo.
I thought he was going to rhyme with that.
Yeah. I mean, like that's what we're dumbfounded. We don't know what the answer would have been. You know, that's why. I don't know.
Oh, Nisha said, now if you're big, you're scary. Do you know how many cops are scared of big white dudes? Big Mexicans? Just being big and is scary, period, if you're a cop trying to detain that big person. That's where I was going with it. And what I was going to say is I don't remember too many incidents of little black guys being shot like that by the cops. Can you think of any? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm going back. I mean, Tamir Rice was small.
But he got shot because they thought he had a gun in his hand.
Yeah.
Not because he needed to be detained. And that was just, you almost got shot for having a gun in your hand.
I did.
They called SWAT on you.
They called SWAT on me. SWAT pulled up with a helicopter and everything. And
he was on a set with a bunch of white folks, and they
yeah, and they did almost kill me too. They almost shot me. But like, unfortunately, and I had this conversation. I said, "What'd you say?"
Philando
Castile.
Philando Castile. Philando Castile was not a big man, but he had a gun.
And he told him he had a gun. And the cop said, don't reach. And he said, but I have to.
Yeah, if you listen to the video, he's
like 6'6", Michelle. And what they did to George was just, there's no excuse for that. Leaning on that neck when he's detained, that's just bad policing. There's no excuse for that.
And if you stood George Floyd straight up, he towered all 4 cops.
Yeah, he did. He was like 6'6".
He was big. George Floyd was big. He was skinny, but
he wasn't even that skinny.
Listen, wait, because Michelle said he was skinny, but people need to understand black skinny and white skinny are 2 different things. Like black skinny, George Floyd, I don't know if he was skinny because he had a lot of money.
Call him skinny. I'll say he wasn't huge, but that man was still 6'6".
He was 6'6", and he had weight. He had weight in his chest. So it's crazy. Tamir Rice was a kid, but he was a kid with a gun. Philando Castile was skinny, but he was skinny with a gun. I just go to Rodney King was probably one of the biggest. Eric Garner was big. Michael Brown was big. Yeah,
even the dude that got shot selling CDs.
Yeah, he was big.
He was huge.
Yeah. So LJ said, if you're big, comply. It's be beat or killed.
I'm not saying none of that. All I'm saying is, if you're big, no matter what race, you're scary. That's what I was saying. Whether you're white, black, Mexican, Asian, if you're bigger than me, you're probably, and I'm a cop, I'm probably going to be intimidated.
Ramon, tell your story because not everybody heard
No, Tamir had a fake gun.
He had a fake gun. Tamir had a fake gun. Yeah, Tamir had
they didn't know it was a toy gun.
They didn't know it was a toy gun.
But they didn't know.
They still shouldn't have shot the little kid.
Yeah. And
Well, now that they're defunding the police, they're going to have less training.
Yeah.
More than likely.
And like Murray said, to get into the police force, you need a lot of, well, I don't know how accurate in some states. Some states look like they'll just hire anybody. I've seen people who they shouldn't have passed any kind of physical test to be a cop. But it is what it is. With that being said, we only have like 8 minutes left in the show. We've gone for
why is that? We could go as long as we want.
Oh yeah, we can. We can. We really can.
This is some good topics. I want to see some more people's comments. No one's still telling what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Back to Leon's comment.
He said you don't believe that if you're big and black, it's an issue. Let's be real.
I'm not talking about for me. I'm talking about if I'm an average cop looking at a big individual, they're going to be intimidated a little bit. I don't think like the average person because I'm big too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let me respond to Walter. He's saying if you are that scary, you shouldn't be a cop. I understand, but cops are still human, just like us. And as much as you can be trained for something, if they didn't train, I don't know if there's anything in the training that says if you try to detain somebody, you and your partner get beat,
and you tase them,
and he shakes off the taser,
and you walk to the car to reach in. I'm sure they're trained to shoot at that point. I'm
pretty sure there's
feel their life is in danger,
but not 7 times.
We're not
7 times. That's 7 times is excessive, but let's look at it. You get beat. They followed their training. Detain them. That didn't work. Tase them. That didn't work. They called for backup. The backup didn't get there in time.
This man is reaching in his car.
He's reaching in his car. So while you're doing your training, waiting for your backup, you're about to die. That's what's going on in their head.
It's like, what do you do at that point when all your training has failed you?
Yeah.
So this man was better trained, more agile, more stronger than you were.
Apparently, you risk of being shot.
And you tase this
That's
man.
the only option is what I see.
And that doesn't work. And you're pointing guns at him. And he's still not listening to your commands. He opens up his door as you're pulling him back. What do you do at that point?
You get shot.
No. Like,
you get shot.
Like, what do you do?
You get stabbed.
At that point, is it your life or his life?
Apparently, it's yours.
What do you do?
It's yours.
And that's why I keep asking the question. What happened? What would happen?
That's what we're saying, though.
He did all, let's say, because he followed his training to the T. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, we don't want this to keep happening. So he knows that we're in a different time in our country. I can't shoot this man. And let's say it wasn't a knife, because they did find a knife on the footboard of the car. Let's say it was a gun, and he comes out, and Jacob Blake, who has a rap sheet, who's not supposed to be in that environment, the police called to come get him, and he pulls out a gun and put those two cops down.
I don't know.
Then what do we say? Then what do we say? Do we say, well, you know what? Then that's part of being a cop.
You get shot.
You get shot. But don't you see how, like, I understand they got to get to an end to where black people need to stop dying in the streets. But what do we want? Because let's look at another fact. We know what is going on in this country, but yet a white person didn't call the cops on this dude. A black woman called the cops on this man. So as she should have. So
he's violating.
He's violating an order. He's got a rap sheet. He's violating an order. They call the police on this man. The police show up. He doesn't want to deal with the police, so he beats them down. He shrugs off the tase. Like, at what point do we have to say as a people, okay, you know what? We don't want him to be hurt, but we're at a place where we can't really back this one. You know what I'm saying? George Floyd, 100%. But I do agree it's wrong on both sides, because he shouldn't have shot him 7 times.
Yes.
But I think most people are going to be upset if he shot him 1 time.
Listen, I don't agree with on both ends. There was wrong on both ends. The cops, over aggressive. Him, not complying. It's like a lot of this could have been avoided. And it's just a sad story. And that's why I posed the question, because when I saw the video, I was pissed. I was like, I can't believe these dumb cops done shot another man 7 times in the back. Like that, I was really upset at that. Then before I got upset and before I started posting anything, I was like, you know what? Let me see what happened beforehand. What led to them doing this? Then I had to ask myself, while I'm asking everybody that's listening, this man beats you up, you tase him, he walks away from the taser, goes to his car, opens up the door as you have guns drawn on him. You're pulling him so he doesn't get in the car. What do you do? And I couldn't honestly answer that question. I don't know what I would do. Would I shoot him? I don't know. Would I tase him? I don't know. Like, what do you do?
Right. And in response to the comment that Walter just put, facts of the force should meet the resistance. At that point, to Ivy's argument, it's about to get to that point. He's reaching in his car. I don't know if he's reaching for his wallet to show his ID, which is not necessary. They know who he is. They identified him. There was no point for him to go to his car. There's no reason to go to the car. He fought police. People understand you can't fight police. He could, because he beat them, but he fought police. Like, there's a difference. There's a stereotype systemic racism wants folks to believe. Be afraid of the big black boogeyman. I've seen the police de-escalate plenty of situations when the person isn't black.
I've seen instances where they haven't, when they weren't black too.
I've seen when they weren't black.
It just depends on the cop.
They could have shot him in the leg. We discussed it. If they shot him in the leg, what if in the car he had a gun?
I mean, if they shot him in the leg, then the reports come to show that there was nothing in the car.
Oh, yeah.
Cops really aren't trained to shoot in the leg.
No, and that's training. We talk about training. Cops aren't trained to shoot
in the leg.
No,
that's part of the training.
That's part of the training.
What's difficult about this, and I already said this before, is unfortunately it's a judgment call, and you would have to literally interrogate every single police officer in every single instance to know exactly what occurred, because not everybody thinks the same.
Yeah.
Not everybody processes information the same. We can't, if that was a Black police officer, would we be having a different conversation?
Nope.
No, I think we had the same conversation.
So are Black police officers also afraid of other Black men?
No.
Not as much as people of other races.
So then I'm confused.
I'm not a Black cop.
Yeah, I'm not. We'll have to ask a Black.
I got a question for you, Walter. At what point do you shoot him in the leg?
Right.
At what point do you shoot him in the leg? When he's not listening and walking to his car, or after he opens up the door? What point do you shoot him in the leg? Because then you're gonna have to justify it. If you shoot him before he gets in the car, you just saw the man in the leg for walking away.
For no reason.
For no reason at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
because it wasn't a lethal situation. Him walking away is not a lethal situation. So shooting him in the leg is not. So there's no need to shoot him in the leg. The cop would got busted for that one big time, because then you're open firing on somebody
who's walking away and has no weapons on him. He's walking away.
The moment he reaches into the car and the cop is unaware of what he's reaching for, and he grabs him and tries to pull him, and instead of coming out, he still keeps going for whatever's in the car, that becomes a lethal threat. And listen, and I do think, because a lot of these people don't know my story about my situation with the cops, because we know that cops treat Black people differently. Yes, they do, and no, because I was in a situation where in any other situation, I probably could have been shot. I was in a Tamir Rice situation, and I was holding two guns they did not look like a toy. I was holding them at a park in Rancho Cucamonga, and I was swinging them around like this. I was talking to a bunch of white people underneath a tree. So it did look like I was working on a school project where we were doing a film, and in the film we had guns. Should not have them out like that, but I'm spinning them around. I'm the only Black person there.
Or you should have had a permit so the cops knew.
Or had permits so the cops knew, but we were young, we didn't know. And somebody saw me with two guns around white people. Rancho Cucamonga PD was called, and I'll let you know right now, they did have guns drawn. They were in the bushes. SWAT showed up. A helicopter showed up. People will say that's kind of over excessive, but maybe it wouldn't be like that if you were a Black person. Listen, if a person's got a gun in a park, they're going to show up like that in certain cities. Two guns.
With a bunch of people at a park.
Bunch of people at a park. And this is not just Red Hill Park. So if you know Rancho at all, it's Red Hill Park. So this is
what, 20 years ago?
This is 95. Yeah, 95. Summer of 95. So, yeah. So I'm at this park with these guns. They instructed me a couple of times from the helicopter to throw out my guns. I didn't know they were talking to me, because why would they be talking to me? I in my head, I'm not doing anything wrong. And if it wasn't for one of my friends looking up and say, I think they're talking to you. And he screamed, "You have guns." And I threw the guns out. And the moment I threw my guns out, they told me to walk out. I walked out with my hands up. They told me to get on the grass. I laid on the grass. And they came and put me in handcuffs and everybody else in handcuffs. And when they realized it was toy guns, they did let us go. Now, we talked about this a couple of months ago. And one of the cops on the show was like, well, that sounds like a pretty good experience with cops. So I to say that America treats to say that I was responding to a comment. I don't remember what comment. There's so many comments coming in. We know that cops,
Black people.
Yeah, that cops treat Black people different. Period. That one, I can't speak of that objectively. I can't objectively say that, because I was a Black person that when they realized I wasn't a threat. And listen, I was big at 19, 18 when this happened. I was big then too. because I know I was intimidating, especially with guns, 2 guns, and I left the situation. I was able to go home. They didn't even cite me. They didn't even give me a ticket. So we always say that not all cops are like this, but you get in these situations where, and it's like the media is picking and choosing which ones they want to show us. That brings me back to my question I had before. Like, why are you showing us this in the first place? Are you trying to incite riots? You know, because this isn't educating. We know, and this is not new, and this is not something that's just these last 4 years under the certain inauguration of a certain president that this has happened. Dude, I have lists of Black people that have been dying before 2016 from police brutality. So this is a systemic problem. I do agree that it's a systemic problem, but
actually now is less Black people being killed by police than ever. It was way worse.
It was way worse. Way worse. And so, and I do believe it's a systemic problem. Mm-hmm. But then we have to start asking the question, why you keep showing us this? You know what I'm saying? Like, the NBA decided that they're not going to play basketball, the one platform that they had to say something. And they were like, well, we ain't going to play for 2 days. You had a platform. You had Black Lives Matter written on your court. You got people's names on your jerseys. You got all these Black Lives statements on your jersey. You were given a platform. You gave up the platform to do what?
Protest.
To protest. You went to protest, but you had a platform. And so the question, like Michelle asked right here, she says, do white people know? I don't think they know. I don't think they really know, but they were given the problem. Oh, Christina brought up a point I forgot. Same thing like when we were in San Jose. They took us out of the house one by one. Oh, that's right. There was another situation. I need to stop playing with guns, apparently. You're right, Chris. I completely forgot. There was a time where we were in the backyard, and there was a house with a bunch of airsoft guns, and we had an airsoft war in the backyard, and I was screaming at one of my friends, telling him to come out or I'm gonna shoot you. And he said, you ain't taking me out alive. And we really yelling at each other. And then I had a friend who was like sideways thug. So she was yelling too, like, get him, cuz. And they called the police on us. And they literally got us out of the house one by one, helicopter. The whole San Jose PD was there, had us sitting on the curb, and no arrests were made. No violence was made. Yeah.
Well, the nation criticized Cap because they didn't listen to why he was kneeling, Leon, and we all know that. Everybody wanted to make it about the flag, and that's not why Cap was kneeling at all. So no. His messages got convoluted by the media.
Yeah, bro. Like, yeah, and I don't want to get into Cap because I don't believe personally, Leon. I don't believe Cap's kneeling had anything to do with police brutality.
Yes, it did. That's what he was kneeling against.
Nah, fam.
What?
I don't think it was.
Bro, he literally said why he was kneeling.
Right, because he got called out, but he didn't say, I'm kneeling for this.
Yes, he did.
Look at the history of Colin Kaepernick. This man, the week Colin Kaepernick lost his job.
I'm about to Google.
Do it. The week he lost his job, he stopped standing for the national anthem.
Can we move on from Cap? Because I really don't want to get into Kaepernick. Mitch, do you want to respond to Michelle's comment, Ramon?
That one? Is this one right here?
Yeah.
I don't know if white people really believe. I think they believe, but I don't think it's as serious as they think it is.
Believe what?
That there's a systemic racism. I don't think they think that until now. I'm telling you, Leon, he didn't stop. He always stood for the national anthem. When Colin Kaepernick lost his job, he sat. And then when he got called out.
Bro, just stop.
He did say it. He did say it, Ramon.
Just stop, man. Just stop.
No, he sat. Go back and look. When somebody called him out, a veteran called him out, an Army veteran called him out, and he says, I'm doing it.
He said he's not doing it to disrespect the flag. That's not why he was kneeling. He was sitting down in protest to police brutality. He got
pouting. He was pouting because he lost.
I don't want to disrespect the flag, but I don't want to stand for this. I'm protesting against police brutality. And the vet said, well, then don't sit down, kneel, because kneel is a sign of respect. Right. When someone dies, you kneel, you hand them the flag, you kneel, salute, or whatever he said.
But before that conversation, he was sitting down, and he went from Super Bowl contender to winning 2 games the next season, loses his job, and now he's no longer standing.
Well, Colin Kaepernick clarified his position later on. So how are you going to protest? That's like me not going to work for 6 months. And you're like, why aren't you coming to work for 6 months? Oh, I'm protesting. You can't do that. That's not a protest. He got called out by a veteran. And then that conversation that you said, Ivy, happened. And then they told him, let's start to kneel. And then now he has an explanation. But he sat. When he lost his job, he was not standing no more. He was pouting. A white man commented to Michelle. He said, yes, systematic racism exists.
How?
Now, if James Cinderelli is all white people, then I guess they believe it.
I'm not going to say that they don't believe. I think that a lot of them do. And
we have to ask all white people.
Yeah, we have to ask all of them. But I do believe that some of them.
Walter, I don't know to be there.
Nobody agrees with Ron.
Nobody agrees with me, Walter, on that one. I'm sticking to it. That's what I feel.
Hey, you know what we need to do? We need to have the discussion of not the Roanoke, but the kid at a later date.
Yeah. We got to talk about the kid at a later date.
I want to hear from James, if you don't mind. Wait, what did you ask him, babe?
I said, how does systematic racism still exist? What is your definition of systematic racism? What does that look like? Yeah. So while he's answering that, I have this debate all the time.
Yeah. While he's answering that, I just say my Colin Kaepernick theory is something that I felt for a long period of time, and so I'm just going to stick with it.
Bro, it's basically you're saying it's your opinion.
It's my opinion. It's my opinion. All I know factually is he stopped standing the week after he lost his starting quarterback job.
Where should I start?
I just want to know, how does systematic racism exist in your opinion?
LJ said we will send out an anonymous survey about systematic racism.
If somebody could tell me how systematic racism exists, just explain it to me. How does it still exist? I'm not saying I'm for or against it. I just want to know.
Are we talking about only against black people?
Redlining home mortgages is no longer in place.
So are you saying that
about today or in the past?
Are you talking about systematic racism
today?
Right now.
So Ivy, are you saying that systematic racism does not exist?
That's a topic for another time, because that would be very juicy. I'm not revealing what I believe.
Maybe we can ask James to show up on that episode so we can talk it through.
Yes, Mr. Cinderella.
I'm just asking.
Let's go back to
No, we want the cops to stop killing big black men, because I am a big black man.
Okay, here we go. Let's take, for instance, the criminal justice system and different systems. For example, drug possession with intent to sell.
So that's a part of how the system is systematically
I can see that. Alicia, do you mean systemic or systemic? Wait, systematic or systemic?
Well, Miss McCoy, both.
Leon said Wells Fargo
just got busted. I think things are changed. I do think things are changing, but I think white people are very aware, especially in certain areas. I think
crack versus cocaine.
But I think they know it more.
Real quick, Mr. Cinderelli. So if I'm white and I'm caught dealing crack, will I get the same sentence as a black man?
No, for dealing cocaine.
No.
Oh.
No, what that's saying, crack versus cocaine, is normally cocaine is a white man's drug, crack is a black man's drug. So what I'm asking you is, if the same white man was caught dealing crack, would he get the same sentence?
Depends on his lawyer. Now, most people.
If you ask Whitney, she'll tell you something different.
Racism ain't stopped. There's a difference between, are you talking about systemic or
systematic? Yes.
Or are you talking about crack versus coke?
No,
there's a difference in both.
I think there's a difference in both. Systemic is a difficult word, and problems like racism that are characterized by systemic can be difficult to grasp. I don't think dictionary.com knows the difference either.
Exactly, Carla. I don't know what I said.
They're both adjectives based on the word system. So no, they're not. They are the same.
He said, LJ said, nope, you'll get probation and an award.
Well, if you're white selling crack,
You're like,
we're taking it back.
Did
Did
you sell it in a minority neighborhood? Good for you.
You guys are ridiculous. All
I
right.
don't know what I said.
The black lady who got years in prison for putting her kids in another neighborhood school, she got years in jail, but others do it all the time. The heck?
Now,
Here's one. What about going back to George Zimmerman? I know we don't like to bring up Trayvon Martin, but George Zimmerman, where he hid behind the Stand Your Ground law and shot Trayvon Martin, killing him after getting beat up by him. He does no jail time because that was stated because Stand Your Ground.
Systematic racism, or is that
no? But here's
guilty.
No, I'm talking about, and then 6 months later, that woman in Florida who was getting beat up by her husband and shoots a warning shot to get him to leave her alone, and she gets 25 years.
Was that a jury though?
Yeah.
First off, if she would have shot him, it probably wouldn't have went. She probably wouldn't got anything.
I feel like these comparisons.
You know what? I don't know.
I feel like these comparisons are very difficult because
it's not showing systemic racism.
I mean, I feel like they're difficult because
you don't see the systematic. I don't know which one it is, but with George, yeah, you don't see the system. From George Zimmerman standing behind Stand Your Ground to the black woman who didn't kill somebody to get 25 years.
I think the George Zimmerman getting off was the most shocking experience of my life.
But was that systemic racism? Because the jury found him not guilty.
Well, first of all, let me just say this, because I remember me and you watched the trial. The person who let Trayvon Martin down was the public defender, because the public defender had a witness that testified to Trayvon Martin being on top of George Zimmerman, which corroborated his story that he was afraid for his life and corroborated the story that Trayvon Martin was reaching for his gun, which is why George Zimmerman got off. And in my opinion, the public defender failed that child. And if that can be considered systematic or systemic racism, then so be it.
I guess that's another topic for another show.
And Zimmerman did profile me.
Absolutely.
Yes, 100% he profiled that man, that young boy.
But he did not attack him. He didn't provoke him, but he did not attack Trayvon Martin.
That was absolutely 100% racially profiling.
Nisha, that's a good one. That's a good one, Anisha.
Which one?
Because I was totally shocked. Like, if this was a black guy, he would have got thrown underneath the jail for this crap.
That is a great example.
And I do agree with you, Alicia. I think when it comes to public defenders, that's a socioeconomic issue more than it is a race issue.
But that's a system.
That is a system, but it's not systemic racism. I think with public defenders, you're talking about socioeconomic status as opposed to racism.
So is it systematic racism or is it socioeconomic bias?
I would say both on that. I would say both when it comes to that, because nowadays, if you don't have the money, you can't really defend yourself.
Yeah. Zimmerman was looking for a confrontation and he got one. Absolutely. He was looking to be a hero.
If my kid's being followed, I'm going to tell him to run home, because you don't know what that other man has.
The WNBA and the NBA are saying, America, we will not be your entertainment if you can't respect our black lives. You don't get to cheer us on the court if you can't stand for us and buy us in life. I agree with the statement, Matindi. I do agree with that. My problem with the NBA right now is there's no plan. There was no plan. And you could tell there was no plan when they said, well, we'll just not play. And so they were like, okay, so we'll just not play.
But this is the thing about that. LeBron could say that all day long. Kawhi could say that all day long. Paul George could say that all day long. But what about the guys that ain't making millions in contracts?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
What about that 11th, 12th
guy?
Ninth guy
needs that game check. He needs
if
that
I
check.
don't play, I can't make money. Or a guy that just got pulled up from the D League or the G League, as they call it now.
Yep.
Who's trying to show what he can, and he's getting an opportunity to play.
Yep.
What about those guys who don't want to? Well, apparently they voted and they're playing. They're back Friday. So
well, I think Jaylen Brown made a statement that kind of think, because they were having arguments about it yesterday, and Jaylen Brown made a statement saying, "Hey, if we're just going to not play and go home, then this thing is pointless. If you're not going to go into the front lines and fight this thing out, then you're really not helping the situation." So I get it. My thing is, what's the plan? Like, what's the plan? I understand the plan is to get people to vote, and we'll close on this because for my I'll come back. Yeah,
something about running and they run to get shot in the back. Then that's not standing your ground. That's just murder.
That's just murder. Yeah. To go to that point, I think what we need to understand is, because this is the other thing that's bothering me about the NBA. So now they're doing this voting campaign, and they cannot tell us who to vote for. They can't say who they want you to vote for, but it's very clear and it's very understanding. We know who they want you to vote for. Okay. It's very clear. When they say vote, it's implied who they want you to vote for, which is whatever. The problem is they are having these programs, the vote programs. This is why I think the plan is just so rigid and doesn't make sense. You have these voting places in areas that are not swing states that are going to go blue anyway. So you have these campaigns getting Black America to vote, and these campaigns are targeting LA, Atlanta, New York, San Francisco, Seattle. How's that a plan that the NBA is going to establish when there's 6 swing states coming in the next election and they're not in any of those states?
It feels like a setup to me.
It's a set. Like, let's objectively look at that. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, we're trying to get Black people to vote in California. That's great. California is going blue. California's always gone blue. It's always gone blue.
Well, thanks to Newsom, it might change.
Yeah. So there's no plan. There doesn't seem to be a plan. And I agree. The NBA had a platform, and this is not going to go away overnight. Again, Black people have been getting shot from cops for years, long before cell phones. I think the Rodney King beating in 1992 was precedented because it was videotaped, but it wasn't new. It's been happening. It just got caught on camera. Unfortunately, we don't have the answer. You know, we're in a quagmire right now with this one young man, Jacob Blake. Like, we didn't know what we would do if we were a cop, and this man beat me up, shook off the taser, and moonwalked to the car. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what would happen. So,
do you think the NBA not playing is effective?
No.
Their ratings are super down right now, and they got worse from this political stuff.
I read that part of the reason the NBA allowed it was because
all their players are Black.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying an opinion piece on Yahoo.com. They made it very evident to put in the article that when they allowed this boycott, the NBA's ratings were already down 45%.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah. Before you get to that comment, Carla, let me just respond to Alicia. More white people were shot by Black in 2019. What are your thoughts about that? I think that's a clear statement, but the problem is there are more white people than Black people. So numerically, there will be more white people getting shot by Black people. Percentagely, if you break it down percentage, there are more Blacks percentage getting shot. There are more white people in America, so of course there's going to be more white people getting shot.
My comment to that is it's still wrong.
And it's still wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah, it is still wrong.
That's our whole point. There needs to be police reform and retraining. It's still wrong.
It's still wrong. We're not saying that they need to just shoot the white people. They need to stop shooting people.
Nobody here is rooting for white folks to get shot.
No, and then the other side of it too is there are we are the one country that deal with this. Like, you don't see a lot of police brutality in the other countries in this world.
That's because they don't live in a free republic like we do.
Yeah, but
and there's just a very diverse population here in America.
We don't think it's wrong at all. It's wrong for sure, but we don't think it's about race. That's why I keep asking the question, why does the media only show us this? I think the media is playing us, and I think they've been playing us for a very long time. Yeah. With that being said, we can do this conversation on forever, but we're in the 90-minute mark right now, and you guys are in Texas. It's 11:30 out there, 10:30 right now.
We up. I'm still in Cali time, baby.
we gotta draw a line somewhere. Maybe come back to it next week. Hopefully, no one else gets shot between now and then. But this is going to be an ongoing conversation. Like, there's so many other elements to it. We could talk about the riots in Kenosha. We could talk about Chaz. Chaz is still responding, the mayor in Chicago.
I do want to.
Go ahead, Carla.
Not like the United States. There's no constitution anywhere else in the world that's like the United States of America.
Yeah.
No other country.
God bless America. All right. Final thoughts, Ivy and Carla, before we go?
I got a quick shout out I want to do. My boy Leon started his own shopping center that's has a lot of great products. GW District. Leon, if you could post that real quick so people can check out your website, get clothes, candles, a lot of great stuff on there. I think it's Shop GW District. Hurry up and post it, Leon, before we go out.
Post it before we go.
People can see.
There's a delay.
We bought some coffee off of there. Delicious.
I do want to say something. I think it's very difficult to navigate these issues because they are human issues, and unfortunately humans are not perfect. And just like pastors, just like leaders, just like police officers, they are held to a higher standard, and we should take a fine comb and analyze the things that they do. But unfortunately, in some, not all, there isn't going to be no perfect answer. And I think when we look at a situation like, what was this gentleman's name? I'm sorry, I get
Jacob.
When we look at Jacob Blake, you have to look at if what he did was in accordance with what the laws was for that particular place. And sometimes laws are not well written, and they're not good.
Or they're old.
They're outdated. And those are the things that need to be tackled in order for change to take place. And it is in that, if we're going to talk about systematic racism from that standpoint, then we should talk about it from that standpoint.
Yeah. Now,
it is very difficult to pinpoint the heart and the intent of a person based on race. It is difficult because none of us know what's inside of a heart of a man but God. Mm-hmm. We can only judge their actions. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we got to pray for our brothers and sisters that are hurting and that are afraid from all of the injustices that are happening here. But the thing that makes America great is that we're a big melting pot, and we have to learn how to live together. And there is hopefully a way that we can unite as one people and try to make effective change without all of this stuff dividing us.
And I think one way that we can all start to make change is getting out there and vote, especially at the local level. A lot of people only vote for the presidential election, but what really affects you is what's going on in your city. If you don't get out there and vote in the police chief, you don't get out there and vote in the attorney general for your state, your city council, those are the people that really affect the laws. And if you get out there and show them, like, look, we're not taking this no more. If you don't change your ways, we're voting you out. If we don't start doing that, a lot of this stuff ain't going to change.
And I do want to also point out, too, is that I get my places confused. What's the police force where George Floyd got killed?
It's Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Is the police chief black? Or am I wrong?
Why does that matter?
Well, it doesn't. I'm trying to put a face to what I'm about to say. But the police chief, I believe it was in this district, a lot of the times certain disciplines can't take place. And this is another thing I wanted to say in regards to voting, is a lot of the times unions are lobbying for certain things within your local government to lobby and pass and have certain protections for police officers, which makes it difficult for the local police force to enforce certain rules and regulations and fire police officers that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So not only we're talking about unions that have such a big influence on the local government that keep police officers that are not good police officers in their jobs, and they should not be on the streets for whatever reason, for X, Y, and Z reason. So that's why it's also important to be aware of those things. Because a lot of times police officers keep their jobs because of their union.
And to clarify for you, Carla, the Minnesota police chief is Mariano Rondando, and he is black.
Okay, so I was trying to put the...
Is he like Cuban or...
I mean, he got blackish skin.
Well, apparently it don't matter.
It don't matter.
You know, but if you go to Miami,
he's of African descent.
Hey,
I'm gonna start saying that.
If you go to Miami,
I'm tired of people. Oh, is he black?
Let's just say he colored. He's
Nigerian. He's a POC.
Hey, but when you went to Miami, didn't they think you were Cuban?
Hey, they thought I was Cuban, baby. They was like, "Hey, papi." I was like, "See, hola."
Anyways, it's a good conversation. With that being said, to kind of, I want to just share my thought with, like you guys shared yours, to go out here with. We are talking about race, but you know what? More than a race thing, this is a heart thing. We should be sad, and it breaks my heart to see and hear these stories about these people dying. It breaks my heart because this is somebody's father, this is somebody's mother, brother, uncle. These are family members that they won't see anymore because of BS. This is BS, what we're seeing right now, and it's sad to see anybody die. It's very even more sad to see this stuff happen to people that it didn't have to happen to, and unfortunately, there are people out there who only see color and that's it. But at the end of the day, it's sad when anybody loses their life, and I don't wish this upon anybody. It's sad when it happens to white people, black people, Asians, all kind of races. So with that being said, I really do. I also want to say, go ahead.
One more shout out. If you are a creator, if you got content,
yes,
Ramon is starting his own channel on Roku. So if you want to submit your projects, you got short videos, music videos, holla at wait, this way.
Yeah, go the other way.
Other way.
You still did do.
Holla at your boy.
Holla at your boy, man. Hit me up, man. And thank you to everybody on the comments today. You guys are killer. I love it. I love the conversation. I love the pushback. I love how we can have a conversation on this show and have different viewpoints and not be like, we won't be friends no more. I love that.
I don't know. Some friendships might have been lost. I don't know.
Ain't nobody.
Leon get up here with Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
But we really do love.
Love you guys.
What do you mean? We love you guys, man. We love you guys, man. Oh, Roku. Roku is like Amazon Fire or Apple TV. It's like you can watch a streaming service. Now we're gonna start a streaming service in the end of September. So if you know anybody with content or anything like that, hit me up. Yeah, we're gonna be on TV. Yo,
Anisha, I know you got some of those plays recorded, right?
You got something, Anisha. Hit me up. But on that note, we're gonna try to do this more often. We're gonna try to be out here next week, right, guys? We're gonna try.
We might have to come back sooner and talk about that kid shooting people.
We probably have to
tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow Friday. You want to do Epic Thoughts on Friday?
I don't know.
Okay.
We've been on hiatus, so we can get in while it's still hot.
Yeah, we get why it's still hot. Yo, Ivy, where can people find you at?
I can't stand you, Leon.
Ivy, where can people find you at?
Hey, you can find me on the gram, v.layson. That's v.layson. Holla at your boy.
He's never on there.
I am. I'm trolling for sure.
He's trolling.
I'm super trolling. I'm just scrolling and laughing.
Carla, where can they find you at?
Carla Finlayson.
That's right. And you can find me at on Instagram. Check out the Instagram, Ramon. I think that's it. Ramon on Instagram. I got Ramon.com. So on that note, we love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being on. And we'll see you next week, or we'll see you soon. Stay locked on the Facebook page, and you'll see updates when we're going to start. God bless everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.